live audiences from SNY Social and Net Social. So with that,
Are they paying us to use the mic?
we'll go right into.
I'm just curious, we're just gonna be props for SNY? Just asking. I'll give you my address if you'd like.
Mike, go ahead.
You know, when you have daylight savings times and it kind of cuts your sleep down a little bit. Some of us are a little crankier than others.
Mike,
Me.
test. I don't know.
It's on, go ahead.
Okay. Mike Puma, New York Post. Buck, just checking now. Has every player reported to camp? Are you expecting anybody late? And kind of what's the schedule here going forward the next couple of days?
You know, obviously we don't have eyes on everybody. We have some, verbal communication with everybody for the most part, but nothing that's going to get in the way of the workouts. You know, trying to be, cognizant of some of the challenges that we normally don't face with people getting in and out. There's been some tough weather, some guys getting in and out, but we feel pretty good about being at full force here very quickly. If not tomorrow, then shortly thereafter. Till we get through the physicals and make sure that everybody made their flights tonight. Some of them coming in tonight because of some things that they had to take care of. Weather got some of them family issues. A lot changed in their lives very quickly.
And I guess for Billy, the trade yesterday, how do you feel you improved yourself with that deal?
We added another, impact pitcher to the rotation, something that we wanted to do and talked about doing, and we weren't able to answer it in free agency, and so you kind of have to look into both markets, and we were able to execute a deal and get something done fairly quickly with the A's.
Tony, go ahead.
This one's also for Billy. I guess you look at the roster, the one thing that's not there is a veteran lefty reliever. How important is that for you still to add between now and opening day?
We have some lefties that are, going to be in camp here, and remain open-minded to kind of look at that group too. And we signed Alex Claudio, who's been extremely, extremely tough on left-handed hitters. So he'll get a long look in camp, and I'll just always remain open-minded to adding where I think we can, but don't want to force the shot either.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Peterson and Sapaki, are you looking at those guys as starting pitchers exclusively, or could they be in that mix?
Kind of like to get through a staff meeting with everybody to talk about that first. I know with those guys, they are kind of penciled in as starters, and so regardless of how we maybe ultimately would go towards the end of camp, we still need to build their pitch volume. So they'll take starter turns early on, and then we'll see if there's a conversation to be had later.
Disha?
Just in the event of Conforto potentially signing elsewhere, are you still looking to replace him with a big bat in the offense?
I feel fairly good about our position player group right now. I'll never rule anything out, but I'd be fairly surprised if we went after another bat or anything like that at this juncture. With the Cano and Escobar and Marte additions, it kind of supplemented our offense as it was, and then getting Robbie Cano back, and we expect guys to be a little bit closer to kind of their career their career numbers and their career standards of performance. So feel pretty good about where that sits right now, but can't say no to opportunity, I guess.
So you're, just a follow-up, basing that mostly on bounce-back seasons, essentially, from some of the hitters that underperformed last year.
I think, when you try to start looking at underlying, some of the underlying metrics with guys and really get to the truism part of it, because there's randomness in shortened samples. So, I believe that guys can, kind of get to an accustomed level.
Tim?
What can you tell us about Adam Ottavino at this point?
Can't tell you anything about him. He's not a Met.
If you signed a reliever who was kind of like him, what would he add to the bullpen?
Nice pivot right there.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm definitely back in New York.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add on it. You know, I can't talk about anything until they're official. You know, so on my depth chart in my office right now, there is a blank where it says right-handed reliever. So, you know, if we can locate a talented right-handed reliever, I would definitely welcome it.
And on a separate topic, what do you expect from Cano? This is for both you guys. What do you expect from Cano this spring in terms of both the way he conducts himself and his ability on the field?
You take that one.
Well,
I mean, I already talked to Robbie, and we go way back, so it's all good. But
so if we got somebody in camp like Robbie, no, he's that was good, man. I'm definitely back in New York. No, but I've talked to Robbie a couple times on the phone. You know, one of the guys I reached out early on to, and talking to him today in detail and everything. You know, it's great to walk in. You can tell how comfortable he is in a locker room and how happy he is to be back with. You know, he did talk to me about it was his idea. He would like to address the club early on. You know, probably happen sooner than later. Something that he wanted to do, and Billy and I fully support. Just want to create the avenue that he wanted. You know, that we thought would best present himself. So that'll happen quickly. But as far as his use and everything, I've watched almost every at bat in winter ball. He had a really solid short campaign over there, but it was very encouraging to see, and we're excited about having him back on the club and the things that he's capable of contributing. So, you know, how it maps out and the way it plays out, you know, we'll see. We'll see what he can handle physically, just like, you know, all our guys, but especially with the, you know, some of the challenges he's had physically. So it was good that you could see how happy and he was to be back in the clubhouse and be back in the environment. And I think it's very important to him that he touch a lot of bases before we get going.
Thank you.
This is for Billy. Steve Cohen talked today about how it seems like he's probably the most willing owner to spend the most amount of money. I'm curious, I mean, this is sort of a silly question, how that changes your job, like where it gives you flexibility, but then also whether that puts pressure on you?
I guess signals to me, you know, by and large, is that he's always ready to listen to an opportunity. So what that you know makes me do is I don't unplug from the market. So I always want to know what's available, and if there are things, I think it's kind of my duty to run it. You know, run it to him. You know, as long as it makes sense. You know, if it's something that we wouldn't recommend under any circumstance, then I'm not gonna run it to him, because I'm not gonna, kind of waste his time, so to speak. But we've had really good dialogue on a lot of the transactions that we've done throughout the whole winter, whether it was yesterday or we just talked about 3 different times already today on different possibilities. So I think it's great, I've welcomed those conversations, and I've been appreciative to be able to run anything his direction that we think can make the team better, either scoring runs or preventing runs. So.
Is that differently than you've operated in the past? Is monitoring the market constantly?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, but he's very interested to know, I think I said, I enjoy understanding the marketplace and plugging into it. I mean, he's a markets guy, right? So to be engaged in that regularly, I think he enjoys it. Seems like it in the conversation.
And then for both of you, obviously it was a weird off season to join the club and then not be able to talk to the players. Did you guys give thought during the lockout about how you would go about creating that camaraderie, or just getting to know your players in what was likely to be a shortened spring training?
Well, it's not something you can force. Okay, it's like you can't make somebody have a relationship with somebody by putting the locker next to them, for instance. In fact, players, it's just the opposite. They're smart. They know what you're trying, so you don't go there. And the good thing is that the other 29 clubs have the same challenge. You know, we brought in a lot of new players. You know, we're picking their friends for them, so to speak. You know, and it's tough. It's got to form naturally, and you know, you can't. And I know Max has already talked to me about some things he wants to do with the, you know, as far as the club and some other guys too. So, you know, you got to be careful about trying to force that. It happens. I think the word's organically or whatever, and that there's something to, you know, that you can do to push that process along. But you got to be careful about trying to go with all aspects of this spring too fast, too quick. I know it's funny. Glenn Sherlock was looking back on our notes in '95 when we came to camp after a strike, and the days are almost the same. We were looking at our workouts back then and how we did it, just out of curiosity. It's eerie how similar this is to back then. When you've been through a couple of them, the big mistake is going too fast, too quick, and you know, we want the long haul. I will say this about Billy. He's talking about. I've learned to sit on the couch lay on the couch when I go home from here with my phone, drool coming out my mouth, trying to catch 10 minutes here or there. This guy doesn't sleep. I mean, I've found my match. Okay, he's wired, and he's trying to make the Mets better every second of the day. Pardon?
Wait.
He kept his notes from 30 years
Well,
ago?
we compared ours. You know, we both keep them. I mean, you need to.
You have your notes from 30, like,
You don't?
I was
Not even
0,
30.
so.
You know,
You're-
don't
I
use
guarantee
paper
you- I
anymore.
guarantee your parents were keeping notes. Yeah, I mean, you know, history has a way of repeating itself, you know. If not, you're doomed to repeat it. So, yeah, we steal. You know, we always take things from situations you've been in, and down the road you might want to find a better way to do it and not make the same mistake.
Who's next? Pass it right on over.
Yeah, this is for either of you guys. When you talk about Max and Chris and Starling and Mark Cano coming in, what can you tell us about, I guess, the sort of competitive level those guys bring to the equation, and also the sort of people that they are based on what you know about them and your interactions and bringing them into the fold?
Yeah, I mean, when we went and added those guys, and I'll kick it to Buck a little bit because he was part of the group that I checked with when we were making these acquisitions, just to get a sense of, you know, what does the whole player, you know, really look like, and what do his teammates think about him? What do the coaches that have coached him in the past kind of think about him? What kind of competitive makeup do they have? What kind of resiliency have they shown? So we kind of run through a little bit of a checklist to understand, and you know, that doesn't mean that in the future every box has to be checked, but by and large, you know, you want that core group around the club to kind of have that professionalism to them, you know, where they kind of understand process and understand responsibility and a do your job mentality. So that was something that we made sure we asked a lot of questions to the people that have interacted with those players in the past. So I'll kick it to you if you have anything to add.
What was your question? No, I mean,
Just I guess
I had a good answer, but that was so much better.
well-
I was listening.
what Max and Chris and the new guys bring to the table from a both.
You know, what's funny is you have these preconceived kind of thoughts. We all do. You're watching a guy from afar, like I remember Lindor was in my office yesterday, and it hit me how big his hands were. You know, we're talking about quarterbacks' hands. It seems like but he just how, you know, just little things like, you know, Ty was in there today. I'm like, good God, I didn't realize he was that big. You know, just little things like that. You're starting to put your perceptions and reality together. And one of the things, a lot of times, Billy's seen this, people start talking real deep about some players, and I kind of go, you know, I want to make up my own mind. You know, just, hey, I appreciate the input, but I think the players appreciate that a lot of them are. But you also remember the good things they've done, and you understand that, you know, you need to get that, go right ahead.
I feel like I'm in poker, like trying to hold my cards like this.
You've been playing them real well so far. So, no, it's fun to see the faces and now talk to them. You know, a lot of people have asked me who'd you call first and whatever. I did a mass text just so I wouldn't have to answer that question. So there are some people that it was nice to hear from the players very quickly. You know, there's a lot of things that were on their mind. So, you know, the thing right now is just having conversations with everybody to, you know, try to touch all the bases, whether it be pitchers, position, possible changes, what have you, to make sure they're not reading about, you know, that I get their thoughts on it and understand where they're coming from on something before we start going down the point of no return, so to speak, before the season starts.
And from your perspective, what's the Steve Cohen experience been like for you? Just working for an owner where the answer's yes, pretty often.
What do you think? No, he's funny. Steve's been great. Obviously, it's so great to have him here today. Just players walking around and seeing a guy. Obviously, the players think the world of him, and you know, seems like a long time ago that Billy and I were at his house, and you know, he's not a guy, you know, in your business, so to speak. I certainly couldn't be in his, but he's curious and wants to win. You know, what else? It's like I've had some owners and just that he wants to win. You know, stops right there, and that's what, you know, we understand our job description. Got a problem with it, you're probably in the wrong place.
Tim, back to you.
Question for Billy: as you balance off-season type work the last few days and maybe the next few days with a very short spring training, what do you see as the remaining needs for this roster?
You know, I think you know, one of the things that we want to do right now is kind of open up that process of discovery, right? Who plays certain positions, fills certain roles. I'd like to get to that stage. That's where I'm at. I mean, this has been really unique, right? It's like we're at the intersection of, you know, the winter meetings meets, you know, day one of spring training, and all at the same time. And I actually talked to a couple general managers that were going to leave their spring training sites because they wanted to focus a little bit more and not. You just have a lot of traffic, you know, around and stuff. So it's you know, it's been pretty. Yeah, it's been a pretty unique experience. But I really would like to begin the assessment process right now. I mean, there's a lot of things written down on paper, but now it's time to bring it to life, and so that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Is that to suggest that after that blank right-handed reliever spot that you're maybe done with acquisitions?
It's really hard to say because that's controlled by other variables than just us, right? That's controlled by markets, and that's sometimes if it's trade stuff, it's controlled by other teams. So, but as I said earlier, I want to make sure I stay engaged in markets. So, I don't know. I probably don't like to say the word done, I guess is probably the right way to say it, because I got to keep an open mind.
Stephanie?
Hey, when you guys were following the lockout, there was a lot of talk about the Steve Cohen tax. Were you hoping they would raise the threshold on the Steve Cohen tax?
You know, I was so far away from those conversations. Whatever happened. Those were going to be the circumstances, and you just, you know, deal with whatever circumstances come out. So I didn't really put any thought into it.
Has he said anything to you about the Steve Cohen tax and his willingness or lack thereof to blow by it?
He just said, keep bringing me opportunities, and so that signaled to me that if it came along, he would be open-minded about it.
Thanks.
Mike?
I guess for Billy and Buck, what specifically did you like about Bassitt?
Wow, I mean, I got to see him a pretty good amount in the AL West, and the pitch ability, the ability to suppress hard contact, you know, pound the strike zone. Sounds like no fear in him. Like there was a lot of things, and then just the person as a whole, as we, you know, again kind of went through our process of trying to understand what makes him tick a little bit. Seemed like a guy that would fit here and you know, relish the opportunity to pitch in this rotation too with the guys that we currently have.
Cano was he's funny talking to Cano about him. You know, they were teammates last year. You know, Billy talks about all the resources. You know, I'm sure we would have made a deal whether we had Cano or not, but you know, just all the resources that you try to do your homework on, guys. Obviously, the pitchability and the statistically, you know, everybody can see that. But the other part of it, you know, the factors that go into play about pitching in our environment, and but he was pretty excited last night talking to him. It was late last night, and he'd be here. Some of you guys are coming. They get here right on time, right?
Yeah. I guess also for both of you, is there any level of concern about Jacob deGrom right now? I mean, he didn't pitch the second half of last year. Are you anxious to get a look at him, and do you have lingering concerns?
I don't have any reason to be, you know. I haven't had the, you know, debrief with any of the trainers on anything. So yeah, you know, as far as I know, it's, you know, just kind of as, you know, as normal. Just goes out and operates as normal. I haven't been told anything otherwise. So I wanted to meet him, but I missed him today.
He got through. He came by.
I've been in an office.
I got to get on the field today. I was excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is special. You know, actually dodged a few baseballs. I don't know if they were intentional or not. We'll see. I don't think I've made anybody mad yet.
Tony?
It's coming.
My,
Go ahead.
My windows don't open in my office. Otherwise, I saw you walking by.
Yeah, we checked the wind today about where we're going to take batting practice. I don't think it mattered. Some of those young guys out there.
That was actually my question, but I'll ask a little more specifically. Has Jake already been off a mound at home, and really for any of your starters, have any of them not kind of stretched out a little bit before coming here?
They're all in different areas. You know, there's a lot of things because the lack of communication was really a challenge, and the things that our people did before they left, before the lockout started. You know, there's just certain things you couldn't do, but you know, getting our arms around what they've done, what they haven't done, and I wouldn't say that all of our potential starters are in the exact same place, but you know, ask me that question, you know, a couple of days into camp. I think we'll have a lot better grip on it, but there are some guys already thrown some here, but you know, until we get everybody in here, I think I got an idea where we are, but I want to make sure I can verify it before I trust it.
Do you know Jake specifically? Has he been off a mound?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been throwing, but you know, maybe not the same as Max, maybe not the same as Ty. It's just everybody's a little different, and some of them, I think they all we got to keep in mind and make sure they're aware of it, even though they've been around. It's a little different. They're a different animal. It's where the finish line is. Where the finish line is. We hope it's sometime late October.
Back to Deja.
Just for Billy, I guess how high on your priority list is it to discuss the contract situations of guys like Nimmo and deGrom before the season versus just tackling it either mid or after?
You know, I think Steve kind of answered that earlier today too. You know, we're aware of these things, but you know, we like where the club is right now, and we'll let some things just evolve organically and kind of like let this time period slow down and then get into this shortened spring training, and but yeah, right now I think we're just gonna focus on playing baseball at this moment.
Real quick one. Roger, you bet.
Thank God we got the mic.
I need the exercise.
Thank God we got the mic.
Hey guys, Roger Clark from New York One. I just want to, I guess for both of you, and Buck, greetings from Damaski Field in Oneonta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I worked up
Still
there for
there?
yeah, but yeah,
I
oh
pulled
yeah,
it up,
sure.
I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I wasn't sure if it was recent.
Yeah, that was something.
memory.
Yeah, Mr. Whittemore. It was Bob Whittemore. I worked with him up
Really?
at WDOS. Yeah, so he was a good friend. He always talked about you so fondly.
I saw him up on the ladder fixing the lights after a game got almost lighted out.
He did everything, right?
He almost got electrocuted that
Oh, jeez. Okay. He was. You know, you work with some organizations with unbelievable traditions, with the Yankees, the Orioles. How cool is it to be here, walk into the ballpark, and see Seaver, Kuzman, the '86 team? Obviously, not quite as many, World Series and pennants, but still such a great, rich tradition, and fans in Queens obviously really appreciate every single one of the people who've played for this team over the years. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a back seat. There's the history. I think this year with Steve's making it possible for us to have the old timers game. We've got a great return already on that. That's exciting. I know Keith Hernandez is going to be joining us. Supposed to be here for tomorrow's workout. Out on the field. We've got 4 or 5 other guys coming in some point through there. But I'm really, one of the things I'm really excited about is the old timers game. That's being a semi old timer. I know most of those guys. We might do a quiz on it, but it's an exciting time for us as an organization to be able to embrace those people, and there are people, and I think it's a great, not lesson, but a great reminder to our players of what has been and what could be, and what this place is like if we can bring what we're responsible for. They're waiting to embrace us if we give them something to embrace.
Yeah. Bill, any thoughts for your Mets memories from your lifetime, or?
Yeah, I kind of shared this when I got the job here in my opening statements that I remember my first time in Shea, and it was actually in interleague, and as I looked around, it's a Coliseum style, structure, and that's what I was used to. That's what I grew up around in Southern California, whether it was the Murph or going to the Oakland Coliseum or whatever it was, and like looking around and just feeling how many, just feeling the intensity and the passion among the fans there. I thought it was absolutely awesome. It just felt, it just felt like the people around that team and the support of the team, like they consumed it. Was probably the best way to put it. And so when I got the job here, I started to think about it as like a duty and an obligation to that group to make sure that we could always kind of honor the pride that they kind of show in this organization. So I loved it. And then watching I remember the '86 team. I was I think about 11 or 12 or 11 at that time, and how'd that feel? Yeah.
You made me feel old.
But yeah, whether it was Doc and Strawberry, and Straw was from Southern California, so like for me that was like, that's a Southern California guy, but that team was special. So some good memories, and super excited to meet some of these guys also as they kind of come through. I haven't never met Mook. I've talked to him on the phone, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Mook's one of the guys coming in, going to help us. David Wright's going to come in and help us. Mike Piazza's going to come in and help us. Al Leiter's going to come in and help us. So I think it's even with this year in I want to call it the alumni game. Not much old timers, but I think it means even more having these guys here, and but they're going to work. We're going to get in the drills and bring what they bring.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Where do you want me to go?